Where's your mother?
She's out in the backyard, arms folded, just standing there.
Here, I'll do this.
No, you can't. I'll do it.
There.
The collar's still up in the back. See? You need me.
We all need each other today.
Ben, Mom's hardly saying anything. What can I do? I want to say that everything will be all right, but the words sound so empty.
Words and grief don't go together, Lori. Just show her that you're standing with her.
But she's in her own little world. I can't stand with her. I get crowded out by memories.
You guys waiting on me or what?
Yeah, and Nancy. Mom's out back.
Well, Nancy's not here.
She's always late.
No, she's nowhere.
She's not upstairs?
She's not in the house. She's nowhere, Lori.
All right, Peter. No, Lori didn't understand.
Sorry.
I can't believe that Nancy would miss the funeral.
Yeah, she's probably out somewhere celebrating.
Peter, that wasn't
Okay,
called
now,
for.
Come on. Lori, would you go outside with your mother, please?
Okay.
No, I think the last funeral I attended was for my best friend's pet hamster. Isn't it crazy how you think of the stupidest things on such serious days?
Peter, I want to say something. It may not be my place, but if you want to cry at the funeral and let everything out, then do it.
Bad. I guess I played it through my mind from every angle. Cry all over the place, or just stand there biting my lip. Guess I could even be warm and accepting, you know. Let all my relatives see how well I'm taking it.
Well, welcome to being a man. I'm just sorry you had to come into it this way.
I'm not crazy about it so far.
She has to be upstairs.
Well, Peter said she wasn't.
Peter?
Nowhere, Mom. Her bed looks like it's been slept in, but no, she's nowhere in the house.
Maybe she went on to the funeral without us.
No, Ben. She's not even coming to her own mother's funeral.
Well, you sure were right. This place is beautiful.
Worth the court battle, wouldn't you say?
Miss Lawson, I know what a court battle entails. You don't.
Oh, come on. What couldn't be worth inheriting a house appraised at $86,000?
You haven't heard what my fee's gonna be yet.
Well, I don't care what it takes. I've been living in two-room apartments and farmhouses all my life. I deserve this.
Well, legally, you deserve nothing. I think we're gonna have to agree on that.
Yeah, you don't see Nancy Lawson in any of those papers. Everything's Terry this and Terry that.
Yeah, Nancy, I don't know where my professional privileged information stops and idle curiosity starts, but why aren't you in the will?
Well, Mother wasn't my real mother. She's my stepmother.
Oh.
I'm the prize that Daddy won after a whirlwind fling with a shameless woman. And Mother, grabbing the opportunity to hang guilt over Daddy's head all his life, decided to keep me. And so she just held me over his head all his life. And have you had many cases like this?
Well, I've settled estates for everybody from maids to mistresses, and I was handling palimony suits before they even coined the term.
Uh-huh. So what do you think our chances are?
Well, Mitch Dunbar was your stepmother's lawyer. He's shrewd. Charles told me all about him.
So is that what it's going to come to then? I mean, at best, 2 out of 3 falls between lawyers?
Best 2 out of 3 wills.
3 wills?
In answer to your first question, now, you could get at least half the estate if there are no more copies of the will left.
Well, I've got Mother's copy. Where would the other 2 be?
Well, Mitch Dunbar's got a copy somewhere in his office, and there's a 3rd copy tucked away someplace for safekeeping. I mean, at least that's the way it's usually done.
It sounds impossible.
Where there's a will, I'll make you a deal. This intrigues me.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Now, if something were to happen to Dunbar's copy of this will, well, let's see what I could do. No promises, of course.
So you mean if it were to get lost or something like that?
Well, it happens.
I'll think about it.
You do that. And give me a call. We'll get a drink.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, the funeral's today, isn't it? Aren't you going?
Oh, I'm just too upset.
Well, you know, it might look better if you went. I can tell you right now, your sister's defense is going to be if she decides to contest our move in court. And that'll be to claim that Nora hated you and you hated Nora.
We can't wait any longer. Peter, are you sure there wasn't a note?
I didn't look.
Mom, let's not kid ourselves. Nancy's not going to the funeral.
Look, let's forget Nancy and leave. We've got enough on our minds.
Ben's over at Grandma's closing up the house.
Daddy, I've liked growing up with you.
And I've liked being your father. You know, before you were born, your mother and I prayed for a baby girl. We wanted her with long brown hair, blue eyes, creamy complexion. And like always, the Lord gave us much more than we asked for.
I love you. And if you ever want to turn my room into a guest room, that's okay with me.
Well, I think your Aunt Nancy's already done that.
You know, Daddy, sometimes I find it hard to believe that Aunt Nancy and Mom are from the same family.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Nancy's a very strange woman. But she is your mother's sister.
Yes, I know.
Well, look, you still have to get dressed and I'll leave. But before I go, I just wanted to remind you that up until today, as your father, you were under my authority. Now that you're Ben's wife, you're under his, second only to God.
I think one of the reasons I love Ben so much is because he reminds me so much of you. Don't worry. I'll make a good wife.
I want you to promise one thing, though. That while you're away, you send your mother a card at least once in a while. She's already convinced that your ship is going to hit the first Caribbean iceberg.
I will, I promise.
I love you, baby.
Bye, Daddy.
Bye.
I thought beer would take away some of my problems. Well, not for good. I'm smarter than that, but with what was happening to Lori and your job on the line and Mom having to take a job at the hospital, I just wanted to call time out on the whole thing.
Well, I can see you're sorry for what you did. Now, you're not going to get a lecture from me. But, Peter, the next time that you feel something closing in on you, come and talk to me about it, will you?
Why didn't you talk to your dad?
I was afraid. Oh, I see. Do I seem so unapproachable to you?
I'm not scared of you. Like you'll do anything to hurt me. It's just, I don't know. You see the world in black and white. You answer your own questions. I just keep asking myself things, wondering. I'm never sure of what I believe.
Then wait, Peter. I know it's only a four-letter word, and it's the last thing I ever want anyone to tell me. But be patient, son. You'll find those answers. Maybe not all of them, but the ones you need. For now, just don't be ashamed to ask those questions. Pity those people that don't and don't care. Above all, never be afraid to come to me and ask those questions. I won't bite your head off. I won't make you listen. You know, with New Year's Day coming up, I was thinking about the past 12 months.
Never a dull moment.
I can remember many years ago when we didn't think we'd live through Lori cutting her first tooth. Now look what we can put up with.
Amazing, isn't it?
You know, honey, it's those times when the Lord lifts me up above all the chaos and confusion that I realize that all things do work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose.
Not that you ever doubt it.
No, perish the thought. Oh, let me rub your back.
Thank you. Well, so much for the past. I wonder what's next.
I don't know, but it's going to be beautiful. Every day I get a little closer to him and to you.
Thank you for a wonderful year.
Charm is deceitful, beauty is fleeting. But a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised.
I love you too, Scott. But I can't help but wonder what's really going to be coming up for us next year.
Lord knows. Thank you, Lord, for everything. For a wonderful year. From helping me fix that blender to protecting my loved ones. Thank you.
Amen.
Here's to Scott Davidson, the do-gooder incarnate. Well, don't stare at me like that. I'm not sorry he's gone, and at least I'm honest enough to admit it.
He beat you, didn't he?
Well, certainly with contrived evidence and media blackmail.
The contrivance was on Miriam's part, and as for the media, all he did was report your involvement.
My involvement with you, as I recall.
Not respecting one's foes is bad enough, but to minimize the death of a man that ran you roughshod is more than I can take.
I see. And so you're grieving thanks to some perverse moral code. Well, you go ahead and do your penance. I don't care.
What's this about my moral codes? Now, I want to hear this coming from you.
I find it incredible that you are grieving over the accidental death of a man that you almost had murdered a few months ago.
Men like Scott Davidson get in the way. By their very nature, they have to be dealt with. They're like trees standing in the way of a great river. But the Charles Carpenters of this world, they go with the currents. They're like driftwood. Now, if it had been you in that accident, I could have drunk a toast to your death. I can't now.
Nancy, I'm sorry.
You scared the daylights out of me.
Well, I didn't think anyone... But what are you doing here?
I was just having a little nap. I had a rather full evening last
No,
night.
I mean in Nora's house. Terry was very concerned because you didn't go to the funeral.
I'll bet you she was madder than a wet hornet, right? Is that the mail?
Yes.
Why don't you just leave the mail and the newspaper there on the table, and don't worry about locking up. I'll take care of it.
What are you doing, Nancy?
Well, it's simple, really. This was my mother's house, and now it's mine.
There are no legal grounds for that.
Oh, picky, picky, picky.
I can't believe this. Nora never intended for you to have this house.
Well, you don't know that, do you?
And neither do you, and it's not your decision.
Agreed, but I'll be willing to go to court for it.
Oh, you've got a lawyer?
That's all the information you get right now, Dr. Martin. As I say, time will tell.
I was hoping that you weren't really really the way they said.
Well, I'm not really. You know, I'm every bit as human and compassionate as the choir singers down the block. But it just so happens I'm going to be a little compassionate and sympathetic towards myself, because nobody else is.
Your sister Terry has tried.
What? With sweet sayings and saccharine smiles? I'm sorry, I see right through that.
Look, they have given you a home, food, money, and patience. And if you could see through them, you would find a very real God at the center of their lives.
Oh, here we go. The great disclaimer. I couldn't possibly appreciate the Davidsons because I don't know God, right? Well, you know, I've seen through that kind of stuff when I was in grade school.
And what have you grown into?
Practicality.
Oh, well, let me guess. Whatever includes getting is practical, and everything else is just a waste of time, huh?
Well, I mean, look at you. You've got a medical degree, you've got 8 years of study, and what does it prove? I mean, you don't even see the other side of the problem, do you?
Well, then you admit that you are a problem.
No, that's just the way they see it. But you don't want a second opinion, do you?
I want to help you, Nancy. I really do.
Well, in that case, why don't you just be my messenger boy and just go tell Terry that the house and everything in it is mine?
You spent the morning doing this, laying the groundwork for your legal plans. Nancy, you missed the funeral for that?
Why don't you just go sit on a tongue depressor?
When Terry finds out, she's going to come over here.
Well, good. And do you know it'll be one of the few times I'll be really looking forward to seeing her, too. Oh, boy.
I'm back, Scott. We're alone. Maybe I can stop being strong now. See? Nothing's changed. Everyone always said how in control I was. But when I'm with you, I can pour out my fears and weaknesses. You never minded. Today at the funeral, Peter turned to me and he looked at me in a way that reminded me of you. Warm, sympathetic eyes. He said so much without saying a word, just like you used to do. When Peter laughs, I close my eyes and I can hear you laugh. You know what? I'm already looking forward to us being grandparents. If it's a boy, I can think of one name I'd love for them to use. I won't say anything, don't worry. I'll let them name their own child. You're with the Lord now, Scott. You've talked to him face to face. It's more than I can imagine. To finally see the one who made your life worthwhile. Be held by him. The one who never stopped holding you. I miss you, Scott. Oh, how I miss you. Someday we'll be together again. I always will. I have to go now. And I know you do too. Goodbye, my love.